Hello and welcome along. Ever since Farming Simulator 19's preview streams, we have been told that a terraforming tool is coming for Farming Simulator 19 to help with the placeable systems and to enhance the placeable systems. Well, now it's here. Today, Giants released the beta version of patch 1.2 for Farming Simulator 19, and included in it is their new terraforming tool for the game. So what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be taking a quick look at it. We're going to build ourselves a farm. We're out here at field 32 out on the the eastern side of Felsbrunn, which I thought was a nice little area to for us to build ourselves a little farm. So what we're going to do is we're going to come off the road here, we're going to flatten out this area, and we're going to build ourselves a farm. I have $100 million to play with, so what we'll be able to do at the end of this video as well, we'll be able to tell exactly how much money we've spent building a farmyard. So without further ado, let's get to it. And the way you access this is through the shop menu. You'll see a new symbol at the end here. That is the spade, which is the landscaping tool. And basically, just to start landscaping, you click the enter. There we are. So here we go. So it looks exactly like it does if you're doing placeables. I'm actually going to swing the camera around because I want to match up to my corner that I'm going to be building out of. And I'm just going to go through the tools a little bit first. So the first thing you've got, as you can see here, is we've got a round tool at the moment. You can see the little green circle. You can increase and, well, actually, so we'll go through the help menu on the left-hand side. So the first thing you see is escape, so that gets you out of this tool here. C changes the shape of the modification tool. If I bring it to a flatter area down the bottom here, you can see that you either get a square or you get a circle. So those are your two tools. You also, so next you've got Q and E, which rotates the camera, which we've already seen. F1 toggles the help menu on and off. Left control and Q and E changes the strength. Now, you can see down the bottom right-hand corner, sorry, control and, yeah, you can see the brush strength goes all the way up to, wow, the brush strength goes all the way up to 3. So, you can be as, you can make it really, really vicious, and really, really harsh in what it's doing, or you can make it really soft and make it take time with it. Next up, you have the change of the radius. So the arrow keys make it bigger. It goes up to a brush size of 20 and down to a brush size of 1. So we're going to leave it on about 6 at the moment. X changes the landscaping mode, so between sculpting and painting, and we will come to the painting in a minute. And then you've got various tools here. So your left mouse button raises land, so you can see that's raising it up there, and we've got quite a high little man there. Then the right mouse button lowers it, so you can see it lowering back down there. And it can go a bit lower than that. Smoothing is the middle mouse button, so that then takes any sharp edges off. So if I raise this right up again, and you can see a brush strength of 1, it doesn't go up very fast. But you can then, if you're using the middle, you can see that is, we'll zoom in a bit, you can see that is sort of taking all the sharp edges off and just sort of smoothing it down to a much smaller mound. Then you have the flatten, which is, so basically you take both mouse buttons together and that will flatten the terrain to the height of wherever you start. You got the WASD keys, which are DASWA, but WASD, so W, S, A and D, which allow you to move around, and then as we seen a minute ago, the mouse wheel does zoom in and out. And then switching over to the painting mode, so as we said, that is X. You then have two choices. You basically have one choice here. Actually, no, you have a couple of choices here. So, again, you've got the change modification shape is available in here. The rotation of the camera with Q and E. the toggling of the help menu, which have all been previous, changing the radius, again, that is available in here. Then the first new option you have under this menu is the tab, and that tabs you through. I'm going to count these as I go through, and you can see them in the bottom right hand corner. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. No. No. I'm going to start on this one because I know this is forestry tractor and I can meet this. So, obviously, I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 different ground textures are what you have. And to paint a ground texture, it is simply a case of selecting the ground texture you want. So in this case, we're going to select this, which I think is a concrete, and pressing the left mouse button. So like that, and that just paints it on. In fact, note, this is a tiled texture, which is quite cool. So there you go. So that's how you paint on a texture. And you can see it there. Right, so, and then again, we've got the camera zoom on the button and the WASD keys for moving about. So that is the basic setup for our piece of, for our tool, for our terrain editing tool. So you can see we've spent a little bit of money doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly reset our money. So there we go, sorted the money out. We're back to 100,000. So we are going to, I'm going to change the tool to bring it off the road. So I want it the same height as the road there. To bring it off the road, I'm going to change this modification shape. Now, terrain cannot be modified here. So the first point that we can modify it from is here. This, I think, is because we don't own, I'm not sure we own that piece of land, but certainly we own this bit. So I'm going to flatten this out here, and which I think is the best way for me to go. And then we can sort of make ourselves a space here, and you can see the money's going down quite a bit, quite quickly. Now, I'm not trying to raise the ground at all any further back, but you can see it's cutting in quite nicely and cutting in quite well. So we're going to just sort of give ourselves a nice area here. And the great thing about this, the square, I think looking at this, the best way, so we don't own the land beyond there. The best way to get the initial effect, I think, is to use the square to sort of make your area a sort of a nice flat square bit, and then I think the round tool is the one that sort of really then helps you. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a farm on 2 levels. So up here, I'm then going to flatten this out so that we've got so we're cutting into the hillside here as well. I'm just going to go back to there, and you see the tool here is working really nice to cut in, and this is going to be a fairly extreme cost for this, because I am very much planning to sort of level this out quite a way, and then you can see that. Right, so that has leveled that out to there, and then what I want to do is I'm actually going to bring this out here a bit more, like so. So you can see that the leveling tool is really useful for sort of getting yourself a nice big flat area. So I'm going to change to the circle here, and we're going to just raise things a little bit so that we can come up to our thing. So raise that up, and you can see there's a little bit of an oddity here. So actually, depending on where you start, can cause you issues. Right, so I've got a rough sort of shape here that I'm doing. But it looks like raising between 2 levels sort of gets it a little bit confused. it has a little bit of a problem with that. So next we're going to use the smooth tool and just sort of smooth this out. Try and get ourselves a nice ramp up to our top farm here. And you can see that what we're having to do a little bit, it's a bit strange in that depending on where you pick, it could end up... I'm actually finding that the lowering tool is also doing raising in some instances, which is a bit odd. So I wanna up the size of this now. So we're gonna up the size of our tool. I'm just gonna smooth this all out. Try and get this so that we've got a nice ramp going up the side here. And I'm quite enjoying using this tool. It's quite an interesting tool to use. But there are oddities with it. There are things that aren't perfect, which you'd kind of expect. I've yet to see really a terrain altering tool that is perfect. Just trying to, yeah, you work this enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to up the strength. So left control and 8. So let's up the strength to about a 1 on this and see what happens. And that works. That's working much better. So again, we'll up the strength more, and we'll up it right to 3. So we're at the harshest this will do, and this should smooth out things very nicely at this point, like so. There we go. So we've smoothed our way around there, and we got a nice area. We got an area we can now build in. So the next thing is we're going to then put some yard down. We're gonna get a bit off the road here. So we're gonna switch over to our other bit of detail. And if you look between the two, you can see that the tool doesn't actually change, I don't think. So if I change the radius and go X, yeah, you see the size of the tool doesn't change, which is a nice touch. And then what we're going to do, and it's my only issue so far with this, is that that tool is quite difficult to work out exactly what it is you're placing. So you see that's dirtied tiles. Right, that I think is gravel. Yeah, that looks like gravel. So that's not the one I want. I want to make my tool slightly smaller and tab through. That's rock. We'll do the rock in a moment. That I think is mud. That is concrete. So that's what we want. So we're going to concrete our yard. We're going to change the tool type and just sort of go like this around here and cover our yard. You can see that, again, this is costing money to do this. So everything in this tool costs. There is, it's not a case of any of it being inexpensive or... Well, I don't know, actually, because we're going to find out how much it costs us to build this yard. So far, we've spent 200,000, and considering how much... In fact, we haven't even spent that. So I'm actually quite impressed by this so far, in that it's not cost us the earth to do this. It's not cost us the earth to put this in. So I'll change the tool now and reduce its size. And then what you can do is we're just going to feather around the edges so that we get... and we can get the tool really small if we want to sort of feather the edges in. And I quite like that. I quite like that there's a good bit of that on it. So there you go. Then we are going to switch and we're going to go and find the rock. So I want to do the rock formation because I want to show you guys what happens with this. So we enlarge this, and you basically go down here and you see you can put... So you can add a lot of styling into this. Like so. And very quickly you end up with quite a nice effect, as you can see here. with this. So there we go. There's our rock effect. And what we can do then is we can add a little bit of rock detail into it as well. See, like so. And then I'm going to add some grass in as well. So there's a bit of grass. So we'll reduce the size of our thing. And you can see that we're then coming here and we're adding some detail in. I feel a little bit like Bob Ross at the moment. Just sort of painting stuff in. Painting little bits of detail in. And just sort of making this to be, you know, it's just that little bit. A little bit smoother, a little bit nicer. There you go. So that's add a little bit of detail into there. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean up this as well. Right, there we go. And then I want to smooth, so with this bit here, I'm going to smooth this bit out and just make these slightly less of an issue, and just sort of smooth that out. Just makes it a little bit less extreme up here, and we don't have to worry so much about the rocks. And I'm actually quite liking it on strength 3. Strength 3 seems to be a good strength to do stuff in, simply because it just takes out all of that stuff that looks a bit worse. Right, and then we want to make that smaller and do that. Right, so there we go. So I'm going to add a dirt road in up here now. So we've got to find the dirt one. And it's interesting that there's a... Right, there we go. I think that's dirt. So we add this in here. Sort of going up here. Like so. Actually gonna do it in gravel. So you see now what I've done is I've got a dirt road going up here, but I've now gone with the gravel up the sides, and there we go. Right, and what you can do then is just take that down, go over to, now there is a side one, there's that, just run that round the edge. If you're careful with it, you get a nice effect going around the edges like that. Now I'm only being very rough with this. I don't, you know, I'm not, I want to sort of demonstrate this to you guys or anything. Right, there we go. So there's that. Right, and then I'm going to put in a load of paving and stuff up here. So I'm going to change my brush type. I am going to change this to, where is it? That one. And enlarge it. Just trying to keep things nice and even. There we go. Right, there we are. So, what we can then do is, having done this and having laid down our areas, what we're going to do now is we're going to add in some buildings. And you'll see now that the price of the buildings has been dramatically reduced. So we do that, we escape out of there, we go into buildings, and what we're going to do is we're going to add the farmhouse first. And place that up here. So I'm going to, and you can see actually, it's really cool in that Is that the front of our house? I don't know if that's the front of our house. Now you can see here that it's costing 180 to buy. So I think actually 181. There we go. So there's our farmhouse. I'm also then going to add in a large chicken coop, I think. And you can see that it does have that ability, and we just turn it around like this, and then it will work out. And you can see that that's 47. It has altered that a little bit, so we can clean that out in a moment as well. And then we can put in a large shed as well. I'm going to turn that right round. There we go. And that's a large shed in there. And there we go. So if I escape out. So that's a very rough setup. You can see it's still raised the land a bit, because where we had was a little bit, where we placed it was a little bit low. But yeah, we can clean up that. We can clean that up now as well. So if you see now, what I'll do is I will smooth this out. So flattening this should be easy enough at this point. Yeah, and you can see there, we're now flattening that out, making that match the rest of it, and bringing it up to our. And you see, we can't lift it there because we're too near this edge here. There we go. So there we are. So a bit of a lip up, but you can see that we've flattened out to the height of the barn. And if I have a run over here, you can see we're pretty good. In fact, on there's still a little bit, but we can flatten this out as well. And it just makes it really easy to make a yard. And I realise that this is a little bit messy and it's a little bit set up, but that's the basics of it. We have gone from absolutely nothing to a yard very quickly, and it has cost us. Do you know what? I'm looking at that basics of a farm, and we have been a little bit messy and we've been a little bit all over the place. But basics of a farm for 43,000. Yeah, about 440. Actually, 443,393. Calculating that. So actually, that's really cheap. Considering what it cost originally when the game first came out, you could not have done this. You could not have created this yard for 400,000. That would just have been an impossibility. So that's the other thing that has come in with 1.2 is the fact that you can do this all now for a lot less money. They've reduced the cost of terraforming massively. So that's all good. So that's where I'm going to leave this. All that remains is for me to say thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, drop us a comment, and give it a share. And for all the latest videos and live streams from FendtFarmer, please subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.